In 2014, a woman by the name of Jennifer Kent wrote and directed a psychological horror film called The Babadook. Incredibly, her directorial debut received critical acclaim from hard-to-please sources like Rotten Tomatoes and was shown at the 2014 Sundance Film Festival. In the simplest of terms, The Babadook is about a woman named Amelia and her son Samuel who are tormented by an evil entity. At first glance, the film appears to be a cliché monster movie that uses cheap scare tactics to spook its viewers. But let me tell you something, it is so much more than that. On the way to give birth to Samuel, Amelia and her husband Oscar get into a car crash. Oscar is killed on the spot, leaving Amelia to raise a son as a single mother. Because of this, she seems to constantly be in a state of anxiety and fear. Her husband died unexpectedly, so she now lives on the edge of safety. She feels as though her life is in danger at all times. Samuel lacks empathy in this and oftentimes points out the fact that his dad is dead.
I don't want you to die.
I'm not going to die for a long time yet.
Did you think that about my dad before he died?
Oh, that's...
He got killed driving Mum to the hospital to have me.
Samuel? I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I shouldn't have... Well, your mum's very lucky to have you then, isn't she?
You can tell by the dark and empty mise-en-scène of the film that it deals with dark themes. If you have ever dealt with even slight depression, you can relate to the way Amelia's world is depicted. There is an extreme lack of color, even in broad daylight. When one is depressed, they are emotionally and physically drained. The draining of color helps viewers to feel the same emotions that Amelia experiences. The movie even gets darker and darker as it progresses, both visually and in its subject matter. She loves her son unconditionally and does anything to make him happy, like reading him the same bedtime stories over and over. But because of his lack of sympathy, Amelia often sees Samuel as a burden on her life. Amelia would do anything for Samuel, but he displays little affection back to her. She has no sense of control because Samuel is the boss of their relationship. At school, Samuel begins to behave very badly. He brings handmade weapons and speaks of an evil presence that he calls the Babadook, stating that you can't get rid of the Babadook.
You can't get rid of the Babadook.
When it comes time to read their nightly bedtime story, Samuel hands his mom a red book titled Mr. Babadook. She has no idea where he found it, but agrees to read it. The book contains a story about an entity that you can't get rid of, just as Samuel had talked about.
If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook.
The book frightens both Amelia and Sam, so Amelia attempts to get rid of it. Creepy, non-diegetic music plays as she attempts to destroy the book, tearing up each page, one by one. The music stops as soon as she throws the book into the trash, seemingly along with the threat of the monster in the book. Amelia thinks, no book, no monster, no problem. The book continues to haunt the family, though, returning to their doorstep, tediously glued back together. The same musical cue returns. Amelia decides to burn the book on her barbecue. As soon as she throws the book onto the grill, the music stops once again. As the film moves along, Amelia starts to have horrible hallucinations. She seems to see the Babadook everywhere she turns. While eating dinner one night, Amelia finds shards of glass in her bowl of soup, an evil reminder of the glass that flew everywhere in the crash that caused her husband's death.
The Babadook did it, Mom.
Later, when Amelia tries to go to sleep, the Babadook physically creeps into her room. She hears him groan and hides from the noise.
Baba.
Just when she thinks the coast is clear, she spots him on the ceiling. Even during the day, she sees the Babadook. Just like her anxiety, the Babadook is with her at all times of the day. Along with glimpses of the Babadook, Amelia imagines morbid possibilities, like killing Samuel. While watching TV, she looks over and sees her dead son covered with blood. She also watches a news story that covers a woman who killed her 7-year-old son, showing Amelia's own face in the window of the house in the news clip.
About the tragedy, but neighbors say the boy was celebrating his birthday today. He had just turned 7.
Wake up, Mommy.
She realizes that both instances are only delusions, but is still quite shaken up about it. They serve as foreshadowing to see what could happen if she actually let the Babadook take complete control over her. It becomes quite clear that the Babadook represents her anxiety. Amelia hits a breaking point and becomes increasingly violent towards the end of the film. The Babadook presents an obviously bad influence on Amelia because she wants to avoid it at all costs. This makes her take out her frustrations on her only son. She blames him for her anxiety and the presence of the Babadook. If Amelia and her husband had not been rushing to the hospital, Oscar would have not have died, making Sam the one to blame.
I wished it was you, not him, that died.
I just want you to be happy.
I just want you to be happy.
At this point, the Babadook is following her wherever she goes. She sees him in her kitchen and tries to escape it by locking herself in another room. He comes down the chimney and makes himself present. The Babadook's relentless stalking becomes too much for Amelia. We reach the climax of the film when the Babadook slowly approaches Amelia with his arms wide open.
You are nothing.
She has a huge decision to make in this moment. Does she embrace the Babadook, letting anxiety take complete control? Or should she refuse the hug and put her worries in the past? She ultimately chooses to take control of her life, and the Babadook dies on the spot. Whether or not the Babadook is real or not remains a mystery. Because of its limited interaction with the real world, it could simply be considered a manifestation of Amelia's fears. Either way, the Babadook declares an important social message through its eerie music, hollow mise-en-scène, and terrifying glimpse of the monster. There is darkness inside all of us.